There's a reason veteran drivers warn you about accepting rides after 2 in the morning. It's not about the drunks. It's not about the tips. It's not about the surge pricing or the empty streets or the way your eyes start playing tricks after too many hours behind the wheel. It's about what else is looking for a ride. My name's Marcus Webb. I've been driving rideshare in Phoenix for about 3 years now. Started with Uber, switched to Lyft when Uber cut rates, ended up running both apps simultaneously like most of us do. You learn the hustle pretty quick out here. Airport runs are steady but competitive. Mill Avenue on weekends is good money if you don't mind the college kids. Scottsdale, after dark, that's where the real tips are. Rich people who don't want DUIs on their records, you know? I thought I had it figured out. I mean, I'd heard the stories. Every driver has. Weird passengers, creepy requests, people who give off bad vibes. There's whole Reddit threads about it, TikToks, YouTube videos breaking down the scariest rideshare encounters. I always figured most of it was made up. Content, you know? People exaggerating for views. I don't think that anymore. Before I tell you what happened, you need to understand something about driving rideshare at night in Phoenix. The desert does something to this city after midnight. The heat bleeds out of the concrete and the air gets this strange weight to it. Not humidity exactly. More like presence. Like the darkness itself has texture, and the streets empty out in a way that feels wrong. Phoenix is a sprawl city. 4.5 million people spread across hundreds of square miles. During the day, the roads are packed. Rush hour's a nightmare. But at night you can drive for miles without seeing another car. Just you and the road and the desert pressing in from the edges of the city. I've always liked that. The quiet, the solitude, the feeling of having the whole city to yourself. I don't like it anymore. It was a Tuesday night, March 4th if you want to get specific. I remember because it was the day after my daughter's birthday, and I was still tired from the party. Shouldn't have been driving, honestly. But rent was due, and the party had cost more than I'd planned, and you know how it goes. You tell yourself one more hour, one more ride. Then it's 4 in the morning and you're running on coffee and spite. I was about to call it when the ping came in. Pickup in Maryvale. Not the best neighborhood, but not the worst either. I'd done plenty of pickups there before, working class, families, night shift workers heading to jobs at warehouses and distribution centers. But the drop-off location, that's where things got weird. The app was being strange about the destination. Kept showing this flickering address that I couldn't quite read, like the text was glitching or something. The letters would sharpen and then blur, sharpen and blur. I'd try to zoom in and the whole screen would stutter. I almost declined. Should have declined, but the fare estimate was showing $87 for what looked like maybe a 20-minute ride. That's not normal. That's like 3 times the usual rate for that distance. Something in my head said no. Something in my gut twisted a little. But my wallet said yes, and my wallet has always been louder than my instincts. I accepted. The pickup location was a Circle K on the corner of 51st Avenue and Thomas, one of those 24-hour ones with the fluorescent lights buzzing, and the parking lot that never seems to be empty but also never seems to have anyone actually in it. You know those places. Gas station purgatory, where the hot dogs have been spinning since 2019 and the energy drinks are always slightly warm. I pulled in at 2:47 a.m. I remember checking the time because I was calculating how much I'd make if this was my last ride of the night. There was no one waiting outside. I did the usual routine. Sent the "I've arrived" message through the app, waited, checked my mirrors, watched the clock count down the 5 minutes before I could cancel and collect my fee. At the 2-minute mark, I texted, "Hey, I'm here. Gray Honda Civic by the air pump." No response. I watched the store entrance. The clerk behind the counter was staring at his phone. A moth was circling one of the overhead lights. Everything normal, everything quiet. 3 minutes, 3:30. I started reaching for the cancel button. At the 4-minute mark, my back door opened. I hadn't seen anyone approach. I'd been watching. I swear I'd been watching. The parking lot had been empty. The sidewalks had been empty. There was nowhere for someone to come from without me seeing them. But one second, my back seat was empty, and the next, there was this figure sliding in and pulling the door closed behind them. "You're Marcus." It wasn't a question. The voice was flat, neutral, neither male nor female, like someone reading words off a page without understanding what they meant. I turned around to look at my passenger, and I froze. "I need you to understand something. I've picked up thousands of people in 3 years. All types, all ages, all situations. I've driven celebrities and homeless people and everyone in between. I've learned to read people fast because that's how you stay safe in this job. You look at the clothes, the posture, the way they hold their phone, the energy they bring into the car. Within 5 seconds, I can usually tell if someone's going to be trouble. This person, I couldn't read them at all. They were wearing dark clothes. Not black exactly, more like, you know how shadows look at night? That color that isn't really a color? That's what their clothes looked like. Some kind of jacket, pants, shoes that didn't reflect any of the parking lot lights. Their face was fine. Normal, I guess. Average features. The kind of face that could be anywhere from 25 to 50. The kind of face that wouldn't stand out in a crowd, that you'd forget 5 minutes after seeing it. But also, wrong. In a way I couldn't identify. Like someone had described what a human face should look like, and this was a very accurate drawing based on that description. Everything in the right place, nothing technically incorrect, but somehow fundamentally off. I couldn't tell you if they were male or female. I genuinely couldn't tell you. Even now, months later, I can't picture them clearly. The details keep slipping away like I'm trying to hold water. And their eyes. Their eyes were watching me in a way that made my hands go cold on the steering wheel. Not threatening exactly, not aggressive, just attentive. Like I was the most interesting thing they'd ever seen. Like they were memorizing every detail of my face, the way I was trying and failing to memorize theirs. "That's me," I said. My voice came out weird, tight, like someone was squeezing my throat from the inside. "Where we headed?" They smiled. At least, I think it was a smile. Their mouth moved in a way that suggested smiling without actually looking like happiness. More like imitation. Like they'd seen other people smile and were replicating the motion without understanding what it meant. "You know where." I checked the app. The destination had finally stopped glitching. It was an address in Buckeye, way out past the edge of the metro area. Like desert road, nothing out there, cell service gets spotty territory, 43 minutes away. The fare had jumped. Now it was showing $112. That's insane money for one ride. That's almost a full shift's worth of work for less than an hour. And every instinct in my body was screaming at me to end the ride, to tell this person to get out, to drive away and never look back. But I didn't. I don't know why. I tell myself it was the money. I tell myself I was tired and not thinking straight. I tell myself that I've had weird passengers before, and it always turned out fine. But honestly, I think part of me was curious. Part of me wanted to know what was at the end of that flickering address. Part of me was already under its influence. I put the car in drive. The first 20 minutes were almost normal. My passenger didn't talk, didn't move, didn't look at their phone or out the window or anywhere except at me in the rearview mirror. Just sat there, perfectly still, watching. I tried to make conversation. That's what you do, right? "Nice night. You from around here? Late shift or early shift?" Nothing. No response. Not even a nod or a shake of the head. Just those eyes in the mirror, watching, waiting. The city thinned out around us. Strip malls gave way to housing developments, gave way to empty lots, gave way to desert. The streetlights got farther apart. The darkness got deeper. My phone signal dropped to 2 bars, then 1, then started flickering in and out, and that's when I started noticing things. Small things at first. The temperature in the car kept changing. One minute it would be comfortable, the next I'd be shivering, the next I'd be sweating through my shirt. But the AC was set to the same level the whole time. The radio started picking up static. I hadn't even turned it on. It just came on by itself. Low at first, barely audible, then louder. Not music, not voices, just this hissing, crackling sound that seemed to have a rhythm to it, like breathing or heartbeats, and the smell. There was this smell that kept drifting through the car, brief, intermittent, like something burning, not cigarette smoke, not electrical fire, something else, something older, like the smell of a match that was struck a long time ago and has been slowly smoldering ever since. I checked the rearview mirror. My passenger was still watching me, but now they were smiling again. That same not quite right smile. And I could have sworn their eyes had changed, gotten darker or deeper, like there was more space behind them than there should be. "Take the next right," they said. Their voice was different now, smoother, like it was coming from somewhere other than their throat, like it was resonating from inside my own head. "That's not what the GPS says. Take the next right." I took the next right. The road wasn't on any map. I know because I checked later, multiple times. Google Maps, Apple Maps, physical atlases from the library. There is no road that turns right where I turned right. There's just desert. Flat, empty, undeveloped desert owned by the state. But that night, there was a road. Asphalt, but old. Cracked. No lines, no signs, no reflectors. Just a strip of dark gray cutting through the darker gray of the desert floor. The headlights didn't seem to reach as far as they should. The darkness beyond the beams was absolute. No stars, no moon, nothing but black. And in that black, shapes. I couldn't look at them directly. Every time I tried, they'd slide to the edge of my vision. But I could sense them. Standing out there in the desert, watching the car pass. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Tall, too tall, with proportions that didn't make sense. I gripped the steering wheel so hard, my knuckles went white. "Keep driving," my passenger said. I kept driving. The house appeared out of nowhere. One second there was just darkness, and the next there was this structure looming in my headlights. Adobe-style, single-story, the kind of house that might have been built 80 years ago and left to rot. Except it wasn't rotting. It was pristine, clean, well-maintained, with every single light on, golden light pouring out of every window, warm and inviting, like a beacon in the absolute dark. "This is my stop," my passenger said. I pulled up to the house. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. The fare on my phone had jumped again. $234, more money than I'd made in any single night of driving. My passenger opened the door and paused. "You're going to want to forget this," they said. Their voice was almost kind, almost gentle, like a parent explaining something sad to a child. "But you won't be able to. That's not how it works." "How what works?" They smiled, that terrible, wrong smile. "The ride. You gave me a ride, Marcus, and now—" They tilted their head, studied me with those two dark eyes. "Now you're part of the route." They got out, walked toward the house. The front door opened without them touching it. Golden light spilled out, and in that light, I saw other people, standing in the doorway, standing at the windows, dozens of them, all with that same blank, forgettable face, all watching me. The door closed, the lights went out, and I was alone in the dark. I don't remember driving back. I must have. I woke up in my car outside my apartment at 7 in the morning, engine still running, full tank of gas, even though I'd been nearly empty when I picked up the passenger. The ride wasn't in my app history. I checked, multiple times, scrolled back through every trip I'd taken. March 4th, 2:47 a.m. Nothing, like it never happened. But I had an extra $234 in my account, and the back seat of my car smelled like something burning. That was 8 months ago. I'm still driving, still picking up passengers at 2 in the morning because I can't afford not to. But I keep track now. I keep a list. Everyone I drove that week after my encounter. Everyone I gave a ride to while whatever was attached to me was still fresh. I've been watching their social media, their posts, their activity. 3 of them have stopped posting entirely. 2 of them have started posting strange things. Pictures of empty houses in the desert, screenshots of ride requests to addresses that don't exist on any map. Captions like, "Anyone else seeing this? And I think something's following me." One of them, his sister, posted last week that he'd gone missing, left for work and never came back. Car found abandoned on the side of a road near Buckeye, near a road that nobody else can seem to find. And the worst part? Sometimes, late at night, I see that house again. In my dreams. In the corner of my eye when I'm driving. Golden lights in the darkness. Door opening without being touched, waiting for me to come back. I picked up something that night, or something picked me up. I don't know which. All I know is that whatever it was, it's still out there. Still requesting rides. Still climbing into back seats and asking drivers to take them somewhere that doesn't exist. Last week I got a ping at 2:47 a.m., same time, same location, Circle K on 51st and Thomas, fare estimate $87. I declined so fast I almost dropped my phone. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night, the thing I can't stop thinking about. I looked at the passenger name before I declined. It was my name, Marcus Webb. 5 stars, 5,000 completed trips, gray Honda Civic. Someone, something, is using my profile now, taking my shape, giving rides to people who don't know any better, spreading whatever infection I accidentally picked up that night, and there's nothing I can do about it. I've tried reporting it to Uber, to Lyft, to the police. Nobody believes me. The accounts don't show up when they search. The rides aren't in any database. It's like it only exists when it wants to exist, when it's hungry. I talked to another driver last month, guy named Devante who works the late shift like me. We were both parked at a charging station, killing time between rides. I asked him, casual-like, if he'd ever had any weird passengers, anything unexplainable. He got real quiet, looked around like he was making sure no one else was listening. "You ever pick someone up," he said, "and afterward, you couldn't remember what they looked like? Even though you spent an hour in a car with them?" I nodded. "And now you see them everywhere, in crowds, in other cars, in your rearview mirror, even when you're alone?" I nodded again. Devante pulled out his phone, showed me his photo gallery, hundreds of pictures, all of them blurry, all of them showing what might have been a person standing in the background, at gas stations, at intersections, outside his apartment building. "It's following me," he said. "Has been for 6 months. Ever since I gave it a ride to an address that doesn't exist." "Buckeye?" I asked. His face went pale. "How did you know?" I didn't answer. I just showed him my own photo gallery. Same pictures, same blurry figure, same feeling of being watched every moment of every day. We're not alone in this. There are others. Other drivers who accepted the wrong ride, who let something into their car that they can't get out. We've started a group chat, comparing notes, tracking patterns, trying to figure out what it wants. We haven't found any answers yet, but we have found one thing. Everyone in the group had the same experience, a passenger who appeared from nowhere, an address that flickered on the screen, a house in the desert with golden lights. And afterward, that feeling of being part of something larger, of being connected to a route that spans more than just roads and highways, a route that travels through places that aren't on any map. We're all part of the route now, and I don't think we're ever getting off. One more thing. My daughter's birthday was last week. She turned 8. We had the party at our apartment, pizza, cake, a few of her friends from school. I was in the kitchen getting more plates when I heard her talking to someone. "Who's that, sweetie?" I asked. "The person in the car," she said. "They said they know you. They said they're waiting for you to give them another ride." I ran into the living room. She was standing at the window, looking down at the parking lot. There was no one there. At least, no one I could see. But my car, my gray Honda Civic, the back door was open, and the dome light was on, like someone was sitting inside, waiting. I haven't driven at night since then, but I know I'll have to eventually. The bills don't pay themselves. And whatever's waiting for me, it's patient. It's been patient for a very long time. And once you give it a ride, once you let it into your car, it never really leaves. So yeah, there's a reason veteran drivers warn you about accepting rides after 2 in the morning. Now you know why. The client had 5 stars, 200 reviews. Every single one said the same thing. Great host, easy job, would recommend. Every single one, word for word. I should have read more carefully. My name is Danny Chen. I'm 31 years old and I've been doing TaskRabbit and Handy and all those other gig apps for about 4 years now. Handyman stuff mostly, furniture assembly, TV mounting, minor repairs, the kind of jobs that normal people don't want to deal with but aren't complicated enough to hire an actual contractor. I'm good at it, really good at it. 4.9 stars across 3 platforms, over 1,000 completed jobs. Top tasker status on TaskRabbit, which means I show up first in search results and can charge more than the other guys. Not to brag, but I'm basically the guy you call when you need something done right. I've assembled so much IKEA furniture, I could probably do it blindfolded. Malm dressers, Kallax shelves, Hemnes beds, Pax wardrobes, I've built them all, multiple times, in every configuration. I actually have dreams about Allen wrenches and cam locks. That's not a joke. That's my actual life. The point is, I know what I'm doing. I've seen everything. Hoarder houses, roach infestations, apartments so small you have to assemble the furniture in sections and then put it together inside. One time, a guy asked me to help him move a safe full of gold bars. Another time, a woman wanted me to install a cat door in a window 15 floors up. Nothing surprises me anymore. Or so I thought. The job request came through at around 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. Furniture assembly, multiple pieces, evening availability preferred. Will pay premium for quick turnaround. Nothing unusual about that. Lots of people prefer evening appointments. They work during the day, they want their furniture done by the time they go to bed. They don't mind paying extra for the convenience. The address was in Maryvale. Not the best neighborhood, I've mentioned that before, but I've done plenty of jobs there. Working class area, decent people. Small houses that need more work than their owners can afford. The rate was insane. $300 for what was estimated as 2 hours of work. That's like 3 times my normal rate. Even with the top tasker premium, even with the evening surcharge, it didn't make sense. But I've learned not to question good money when it shows up. I accepted the job. First red flag, the client had no profile picture. That's not necessarily weird. Lots of people don't bother uploading photos, but combined with the 200 identical reviews, it made me pause. I scrolled through the reviews again, really looked at them this time. Great host, easy job, would recommend. Great host, easy job, would recommend. Great host, easy job, would recommend. Over and over. Same words, same capitalization, same punctuation, 200 times. The reviews were from different accounts, different names, different profile pictures, but the words were exactly the same. I should have canceled. I should have flagged the account and reported it for suspicious activity. Instead, I told myself it was probably just a template. Some people copy and paste the same review for every transaction because they're too lazy to write something original. Annoying, but not necessarily malicious. I drove to the address. The house was at the end of a cul-de-sac. Small, single story. The kind of nondescript ranch that was probably built in the 60s and hadn't been updated since. Beige stucco, tile roof, chain link fence around a yard that was more dirt than grass. completely normal for Maryvale. But something felt off. I sat in my car for a minute, trying to identify what was wrong. The streetlights were working. The other houses on the block had their lights on, TVS flickering behind curtains. Normal neighborhood sounds, dogs barking, kids yelling, somebody's bass-heavy music thumping in the distance. But this house was silent. Not just quiet, silent, like it existed in its own bubble where sound couldn't penetrate. And the windows were too dark. Not dark like the lights were off, dark like there was nothing behind them, like the glass had been painted black from the inside. I'd seen windows like that before. In a story someone told me, a delivery driver named Priya. I should have driven away. Instead, I grabbed my toolbox and walked up to the front door. The door opened before I could knock. That's never a good sign. In my experience, doors that open by themselves mean one of three things: motion sensor smart home setup, someone watching through a peephole, or something you really don't want to think about. This didn't feel like either of the first two. "Hello?" I called out. "TaskRabbit? I'm here for the furniture assembly." No answer. The interior was dark, not pitch black. I could see the outline of a hallway, the shape of a coat rack, the suggestion of rooms beyond, but dark enough that I couldn't make out details. I turned on my phone flashlight. The beam didn't seem to penetrate very far, like the darkness was thicker than normal darkness, heavier, more resistant to light. "Hello? Is anyone home?" A voice came from somewhere inside, deep in the house, muffled, indistinct. "Come in, the furniture's in the back." I hesitated. Every instinct was telling me to leave, to call the client and say there'd been a mistake, to drive away and never look back. But I'd accepted the job, $300, and I had a perfect record to maintain. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me. I didn't close it. The house was wrong on the inside. I don't mean wrong like messy or wrong like poorly decorated. I mean wrong like the geometry didn't make sense. The hallway was too long. The ceiling was too high. The walls seemed to shift when I wasn't looking at them directly. And it was cold. Freezing cold. I could see my breath forming little clouds in the beam of my flashlight. "Back here," the voice said, closer now, but I still couldn't tell where it was coming from. The acoustics were off, like the sound was bouncing around corners that shouldn't exist. I walked deeper into the house. The furniture was in what I guess was supposed to be a living room. Boxes, lots of boxes, IKEA boxes by the look of them, scattered across the floor in no particular order. But the labels were wrong. "Malm," one of them said. But the picture on the box wasn't a dresser. It was something else, something with too many drawers, too many handles, too many faces carved into the wood. "Kallax," another one said. But instead of the familiar cube shelving, the diagram showed a structure that seemed to fold in on itself. Impossible angles, non-Euclidean geometry. Hemnes, Björkudden, lack, expedite. All wrong, all showing furniture that couldn't exist. That shouldn't exist. "You'll assemble them all," the voice said. I spun around. There was someone standing in the doorway. Or something. Average height, average build. The kind of face that could be anyone's face. Forgettable, unremarkable, blank in a way that felt intentional. I'd heard about faces like that from a guy named Marcus, a rideshare driver. "I think there's been a mistake," I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. "These aren't standard IKEA products. I can't." "You accepted the job." "I can cancel. I'll refund your deposit." "You can't cancel." The thing smiled. That wrong smile. The smile that looks like someone described what a smile should look like, and this was the best approximation they could manage. "Nobody cancels," it said. "Everyone completes the job." I tried to run. The hallway had changed. What should have been a straight shot to the front door was now a maze of corridors and rooms and staircases that led nowhere. I tried the windows. They wouldn't open, wouldn't break. My hammer bounced off the glass like it was hitting steel. I tried my phone. No signal, no connection. The screen showed a single notification from TaskRabbit. Job in progress. Please complete all tasks before marking complete. The furniture boxes were following me. I don't know how else to describe it. Every room I ran into, they were there, waiting. The impossible Malm, the non-Euclidean Kallax, the things that wore IKEA labels but weren't IKEA at all. And the client, the thing, was always there too, standing in corners, watching from doorways, that blank face, that wrong smile. Assemble them, it kept saying. Assemble them all. I don't know how long I was in that house, hours, days. Time didn't work right in there. What I do know is that I eventually stopped running. Not because I gave up, because I had an idea. See, the thing about IKEA furniture is that it's designed to be assembled in a specific order. There's a logic to it, a sequence, step 1 before step 2 before step 3. And I've assembled so much IKEA furniture that I know the logic inside and out. What if? What if I used that logic against the impossible furniture? I opened one of the boxes, the wrong Malm, the one with too many drawers and faces carved into the wood. The instruction manual was gibberish, symbols that didn't mean anything, diagrams that showed steps that were physically impossible. But underneath the gibberish, I could see the bones of regular IKEA instructions. The same basic structure, the same progression. What if I ignored the gibberish and assembled it the way a normal Malm should be assembled? I started working. It took what felt like hours. The pieces kept trying to go together wrong. The screws wanted to twist in directions that don't exist. The wooden panels kept shifting, showing me faces and shapes and things that made my eyes hurt to look at. But I'm a top tasker. I'm really good at this. And I'm stubborn. I forced the Malm together the right way, the normal way. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Ignoring the impossible instructions, ignoring the way the wood screamed when I tightened the cam locks. When I finished, it looked like a regular Malm dresser. Nothing special, nothing impossible, just a piece of Swedish furniture. The thing in the doorway was watching me. Its face had changed, still blank, still wrong. But now there was something else there, something that might have been surprise or fear. That's not how you're supposed to assemble it, it said. I'm a professional, I said. I assemble things right. I opened the next box. I assembled all of them. Every impossible Kallax became a normal Kallax. Every wrong Hemnes became a right Hemnes. Every piece of furniture that shouldn't exist was forced into a shape that did. And with each one I completed, the house changed. The hallways got shorter, the ceilings got lower, the geometry started making sense, and the thing got smaller, weaker, less present. By the time I finished the last box, a lackside table that had been trying to exist in 4 dimensions simultaneously, the house was just a house. Normal, boring, the kind of place you'd drive past without a second thought. And the thing was gone. I don't know where it went. I don't know if I killed it or banished it or just confused it so much that it couldn't hold itself together anymore. All I know is that when I walked out the front door, the sun was coming up, and I had $300 in my TaskRabbit account, plus a 5-star review. Great host, easy job, would recommend. That was 4 months ago. I kept working, kept taking jobs. What else was I going to do? But I started noticing things. Other TaskRabbit workers going missing, other handy contractors who accepted jobs in certain neighborhoods and never logged back in, delivery drivers who picked up orders for addresses that don't exist, rideshare drivers who gave rides to passengers with forgettable faces. There's a pattern, a network. Something is using the gig economy apps to collect people, I guess, to lure them into places where the rules are different, where the geometry doesn't work, where time and space bend in ways that trap you forever, unless you know how to fight back. I've been doing research. Talking to other workers, comparing notes, building a database of suspicious accounts and impossible addresses. There are a lot of them. Thousands, maybe, scattered across every platform. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart, TaskRabbit, Handy, Thumbtack, Rover, Care.com. Every app that connects strangers to strangers. Every platform that sends workers into unfamiliar homes. Something is fishing in those waters, casting bait, waiting for someone desperate enough to take the job. And when they do... But here's the thing. I'm still a top tasker. I still have a 4.9 rating and over 1,000 completed jobs. And now I know what to look for. The identical reviews, the too good rates, the addresses that don't quite show up on Google Maps, the profile pictures that look just a little too generic. When I find them, I take the job. And I unbuild what they've built. Turns out, the impossible furniture? It's not impossible if you know what you're doing. It's just different. Wrong. Assembled according to rules that aren't our rules. But rules can be broken. Furniture can be reassembled. Geometry can be forced back into shapes that make sense. I'm really good at assembly. And I'm even better at disassembly. If you work in the gig economy, if you accept jobs through apps that connect strangers, be careful. Check the reviews, really check them. Look for patterns that don't make sense. Check the addresses. Make sure they actually exist on maps before you drive there. And if something feels wrong, if the house is too dark, or the client is too blank, or the job pays too well for what it's asking, trust your instincts. Cancel the job. Walk away. Because some gigs aren't worth the money. Some doors aren't worth opening. And some jobs, once you accept them, never let you clock out. I still have that IKEA instruction manual, the one from the Impossible Malm, the one with gibberish symbols and diagrams that shouldn't exist. I keep it in my car, just in case I ever need to remember that some things are real, some things are solid, some things can be assembled and disassembled and understood, because the alternative, the thing that's still out there, still requesting, still collecting, that's something I don't ever want to understand. Some doors, once you open them, you can't close again. Some jobs, once you accept them, you can't quit. And some passengers, once you let them in, they never really leave. But here's the thing I haven't told anyone yet. Not Marcus, not Priya, not any of the other passengers. When I assembled that impossible furniture the right way, when I forced it to become normal, something happened. I felt it change. Felt the wood give up its wrongness. Felt the impossible angles surrender to Euclidean geometry. And in that moment of surrender, I saw something. A blueprint. Not IKEA instructions. Something bigger. Something older. A design for something vast and intricate and terrible. A structure that spans, I don't know, cities, states, the whole country maybe. The route isn't just houses, not just addresses that don't exist. It's architecture. It's a building project that's been going on for decades, maybe centuries. Every fake delivery, every impossible ride, every job in a house that shouldn't exist, they're all pieces, components, being assembled into something huge. And I saw where it's all leading. A central hub, a nexus, the place where all the routes converge. It's somewhere in Phoenix, somewhere under Phoenix actually, deep underground, in tunnels and chambers that were dug long before the city existed, before Arizona was a state, before Europeans ever set foot on this continent. Something has been building there for a very long time. And it's almost finished. Last week I got a job request. Standard TaskRabbit gig, furniture assembly, evening availability, address in downtown Phoenix. But this one was different. The reviews weren't identical. They were varied, specific, real sounding. The address existed on Google Maps. Street view showed a normal building, an old warehouse converted into apartments. The rate was reasonable. maybe even a little low for what was being asked. Everything checked out, except for one thing: the client name. It was my name, Danny Chen. And the profile picture was my face, but not my current face, my face from years ago, before I started doing gig work, before I knew anything about the route or the passengers or the impossible furniture, the me from before all of this. I haven't accepted the job yet, but I know I'm going to, because whatever's happening, whatever's being built under Phoenix, I need to understand it. I need to see it. I need to know what all of this has been leading to. Marcus thinks I'm crazy. Priya thinks I should delete the app and move to another state. Maybe they're right, but I'm a top tasker. I have a reputation to maintain. And some jobs you can't walk away from. Some jobs you are always going to accept. Some jobs were designed for you from the very beginning. If you don't hear from me again, if this is the last story that comes from the passengers, at least you'll know the truth. The gig economy isn't just connecting workers to jobs. It's connecting something else, something ancient, something hungry. And it's been assembling itself, one delivery at a time, one ride at a time, one job at a time. The route is almost complete. And when it is, I don't know what happens next. But I'm going to find out. I should have noticed the address didn't exist on any map. I should have noticed the app glitched every time I tried to mark it delivered. But I was tired, and I needed the money, and I figured the system would sort itself out. It didn't sort itself out. Okay, let me back up. My name is Priya Sharma. I'm 26 years old, and I've been doing delivery apps for about 2 years now. DoorDash mostly, but also Instacart when the grocery orders are busy. Sometimes Uber Eats if there's a good promotion running. I know what you're thinking. Why doesn't she just get a real job? Here's the thing. I have a real job. I'm a dental hygienist, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, decent pay, good benefits. The whole responsible adult package. But decent pay doesn't cover student loans and rent and car payments and the credit card debt I'm still climbing out of from when my mom got sick, and insurance didn't cover everything. So I deliver food on weekends. And sometimes weeknights. And sometimes, okay, most nights if I'm being honest. The apps aren't great. The pay keeps getting worse, but it's flexible. And I can listen to podcasts while I drive. And nobody asks me questions about my personal life or tells me I should smile more. It was supposed to be temporary, just until I paid down the credit cards, just until I got ahead. But here's a secret nobody tells you about gig work. You never get ahead. You just fall behind more slowly. The night it happened, I was delivering in Gilbert. Nice area, suburban. Lots of new housing developments with names like Desert Vista Estates and Saguaro Springs and other things that sound like they were generated by an AI that had never actually visited Arizona. It was late, later than I usually work, almost 11 p.m. on a Thursday. I'd been telling myself I'd go home after this order, just one more delivery, just one more tip. The order was from a Thai place, pad Thai, green curry, and spring rolls. About $30 worth of food. The delivery address was on a street called Mesquite Lane. Nothing unusual about that. Gilbert is full of streets named after desert plants. Ocotillo Drive, Palo Verde Court, Cholla Way. You get used to it. I typed the address into my GPS and started driving. The first hint that something was wrong came about 5 minutes in. My GPS started acting weird. The blue line showing my route kept flickering, jumping, rerouting me for no reason. 1 second it said turn left at the next intersection, then it said make a U-turn, then it said I'd arrived at my destination, even though I was still in the middle of a main road. I pulled over and manually typed the address in again. The app crashed. I opened it again, typed the address again. No results found. That's strange, I thought. The address had been right there a minute ago. The customer's location was showing on my delivery screen. How could the address not exist? I tried Google Maps, same thing. No results. I tried Apple Maps. Address not found. But here's the weird part. The DoorDash app still showed the delivery as active. The map still showed a pin dropped somewhere in Gilbert. The countdown timer was still running. I drove toward the pin. The neighborhood changed as I got closer. Gilbert is one of those sprawling Phoenix suburbs where everything looks the same. Stucco houses in shades of beige and tan, red tile roofs, xeriscaped yards with gravel and cacti, cookie-cutter developments stretching to the horizon. But the neighborhood I was driving into, it was different. The houses were older, smaller, set farther back from the street. The lawns had actual grass, which is weird for Arizona, and the streetlights were those old sodium vapor ones that cast everything in this sickly orange glow. I didn't recognize this area. And I know Gilbert. I've delivered here hundreds of times. I've driven down every street, into every cul-de-sac, past every gated community. This neighborhood didn't match my mental map. It was like someone had sliced out a section of a different city and pasted it into Gilbert when I wasn't looking. The pin on my app was getting closer, half a mile, quarter mile, approaching destination. And then I saw the street sign, Mesquite Lane. But the sign was wrong. The letters were backwards. Like I was looking at a reflection. I slowed down, checked my mirrors, checked the sign again. Still backwards. The pin said I'd arrived. I looked at the house. It was a single-story ranch, probably built in the 70s. Light blue paint that might have been cheerful once but had faded to something tired and sad. Chain-link fence around the yard, carport instead of a garage. Christmas lights strung along the roofline even though it was March. There was something wrong with the windows. At first, I couldn't identify what it was. They looked like regular windows. But as I stared, I realized they were too dark. Not just dark like the lights were off inside, dark like there was nothing behind them, like they were painted black from the inside. But then, as I watched, lights started turning on, one by one, window by window. A warm, golden glow spreading through the house, inviting, welcoming. Wrong. I sat in my car for a long time. The food was getting cold in my insulated bag. The timer on my app was running down. Late delivery. Potential bad rating. Potential deactivation if I got too many of those. Just drop off the food, I told myself. Leave it on the porch, take the picture, mark it delivered, go home. I got out of the car. The walk from the street to the front door was only about 30 feet. It felt like a mile. With every step, the air got heavier, thicker. Like walking through water, like something was pushing back against me, testing my resolve. The house smelled like something burning, not wood smoke, not electrical fire, something else, something older, like the memory of a fire that happened a long time ago. I reached the porch. The door was already open. Not all the way, just a crack, maybe 6 inches, enough to see a sliver of hallway beyond. Hardwood floors, floral wallpaper, a coat rack with one coat hanging on it. "Hello," I called out. "DoorDash delivery?" No answer. But I heard something. Movement deeper in the house. Footsteps, maybe, or something being dragged across the floor. I set the food down on the porch, pulled out my phone to take the delivery photo. The screen was glitching. The camera app kept opening and closing. The image was distorted, like I was trying to photograph something that didn't want to be seen. I took the picture anyway. Blurry. Barely recognizable as a front porch. I tapped complete delivery. The app crashed. When it reopened, the delivery was still showing as active, like I hadn't done anything, like I was still on my way. I tried again, same result. And that's when I heard the voice. "You're not supposed to leave it there." It came from inside the house, from behind that 6-inch gap in the door. A woman's voice, soft, almost friendly, but with something underneath it, something that made the hair on my arms stand up. "Sorry," I said. My voice came out as a whisper. This is a contactless delivery. I can just leave it. No. The door opened wider. I couldn't see who was opening it. The interior was too dark. You need to bring it inside. I really can't? The order says hand it to customer. You need to follow the instructions. I looked at my phone. The order did say hand to customer. I could have sworn it said leave at door when I accepted it. But now, clear as anything, it said hand to customer. Please, the voice said. I can't come outside. I haven't been outside in a very long time. Against every instinct screaming in my brain, I picked up the food. And I walked into the house. The inside was wrong in ways I couldn't immediately identify. The proportions were off. The hallway was too long. The ceiling was too high. The walls seemed to lean slightly inward, like the house was trying to swallow me. And it was cold. Freezing cold. Even though it was March in Arizona and the temperature outside was pushing 70, inside this house it felt like a meat locker. I could see my breath. Just through here, the voice said. It seemed to be coming from everywhere at once now, from the walls, from the floor, from inside my own head. I walked forward. The hallway stretched in front of me, past doors that I didn't want to look at, past photographs on the walls that I didn't want to see. But I saw them anyway. The photographs showed people, dozens of people, different ages, different faces, different time periods, judging by the clothing and hairstyles. But they all had one thing in common. They were all holding delivery bags, pizza boxes, grocery bags, food containers just like the one I was carrying. And they all had the same expression on their faces. Terror. The hallway ended in a kitchen. And in the kitchen, there was a woman. She was standing with her back to me. Average height, average build. Wearing a plain dress that might have been any color in normal light but looked gray in the strange illumination of the house. Just set it on the counter, she said. I walked to the counter, set down the food. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. Thank you, she said. You can go now. I turned toward the door. The hallway was gone. Where it should have been, there was just darkness, a wall of black so complete it seemed to absorb the light from the kitchen. Oh, the woman said. She sounded almost apologetic. I forgot. You can't leave yet. You haven't completed the delivery. The app won't let me mark it. Not the app. She turned around. Her face was blank, not expressionless, blank, like a mannequin, like someone had started drawing a face and then given up halfway through. No features, no details, just a smooth, pale surface where features should have been. The real delivery, she said, and the darkness started moving toward me. I don't remember everything that happened next. I remember running. I remember doors that led to more doors. I remember rooms that made no sense, a bathroom with no toilet, a bedroom with the furniture on the ceiling, a living room where the TV showed nothing but static and faces that looked almost like mine but weren't quite. I remember the woman, the thing, following me, always behind me, never quite catching up but never falling behind either. Patient, unhurried, like it knew I couldn't escape. I remember finding a window, one of those too dark windows that I'd seen from outside, and I remember throwing myself at it, over and over, my shoulder screaming in pain, the glass not breaking, not cracking, not even vibrating. I remember crying, screaming, begging, and then I remember something else. A voice, different from the woman's, a man's voice, distant but clear. The delivery app, mark it delivered, trust me. I pulled out my phone. It was still glitching. The screen was covered in static, but through the static, I could see the delivery screen, the button that said, Complete Delivery. I pressed it. I woke up in my car. The sun was coming up. I was parked on a residential street in Gilbert, a normal street with normal houses and normal streetlights. Mesquite Lane was nowhere to be seen. My phone showed no active deliveries. In fact, it showed no deliveries at all for the past 3 hours. Like I'd never accepted the Thai food order. Like I'd never driven to that neighborhood that didn't exist. But the Thai food was still in my car, cold now. The containers slightly crushed like something heavy had been pressing on them. And on the outside of the bag, written in what looked like it might have been blood but was probably just red sauce, were 2 words. Next time. That was 6 months ago. I still deliver. I need the money. The bills don't care about supernatural experiences. But I'm careful now. I don't deliver after 10 p.m. I don't accept orders in Gilbert. I don't go anywhere near where I think that neighborhood might have been. And I research every address before I accept. Google Street View, Zillow listings, anything to make sure the place actually exists. Mostly it's fine. Mostly the addresses lead to regular houses with regular people who just want their food. But sometimes I'll pull up to a delivery and the windows will be just a little too dark, or the street sign will look just a little bit wrong, or the house will smell like something burning. When that happens, I cancel the order. I don't care about the ratings hit. I don't care about the potential deactivation. Some deliveries aren't worth completing. Last week I met another driver, Marcus. We were both waiting for orders at a Thai place, the same Thai place actually that the original order had come from. We got to talking, comparing delivery horror stories, the usual gig worker bonding. And then he told me about a passenger he'd picked up, someone who didn't quite look right, an address that didn't exist on any map, a house in the desert with golden lights. I told him about my delivery. We compared notes. Same thing, same entity, different approach. Marcus thinks it uses the apps, that it posts fake rides and fake orders to lure gig workers to places that shouldn't exist, that it's been doing this for a long time, maybe as long as the apps have existed. I think he's right. But here's what I can't figure out. What does it want? It could have kept me in that house. It could have done whatever it was planning to do. But it let me go. It let Marcus go. Why? Marcus has a theory. He thinks it's spreading, that when it touches you, when it gets you into one of its trap houses even briefly, it leaves something behind. A mark, a connection. And through that connection, it can reach other people. People you interact with, people you deliver to. I've been checking on my regular customers, the ones I've delivered to since that night. 3 of them have stopped ordering. 2 of them have posted strange things on social media, pictures of houses they don't recognize, questions about whether anyone else is seeing things that aren't there. One of them accepted a delivery order last week from an address that didn't exist on any map. She hasn't been seen since. I still have the Thai food containers. I don't know why I kept them. Evidence maybe, or a reminder. The red writing on the bag is faded, but I can still read it if I look closely. Next time. I don't know when next time will be, but I know it's coming. Whatever that thing is, whatever it wants, it's patient. It's been patient for a long time, and it doesn't give up. So I keep delivering, keep watching, keep waiting, and I never, ever mark a delivery complete until I'm absolutely sure I'm back in the real world. Because some addresses don't lead where you think they do. And some deliveries don't want to be completed. If you're a delivery driver reading this, be careful. Check the addresses, trust your instincts. And if something feels wrong, if the house is too dark or the street sign looks backwards, or the app keeps glitching for no reason, turn around. Cancel the order. Go home. Some tips aren't worth dying for. Some deliveries aren't worth completing. And some things, once they get your address, never stop ordering. There's one more thing I need to tell you. 2 nights ago, I was at home, in my apartment, doors locked, windows shut, delivery apps closed. Just me and my cat and a glass of wine and a true crime podcast playing in the background. Safe. Or so I thought. My phone buzzed. A delivery notification. But I wasn't logged into any apps, hadn't been logged in for hours. There was no way I should have gotten a delivery notification. I looked at the screen. New delivery request. Thai Orchid Restaurant to 447 Mesquite Lane, Gilbert. Accept? My blood went cold. I stared at the notification. It couldn't be real. It had to be a glitch, some kind of delayed push notification from 6 months ago that only just now went through. But the timestamp was current, 2 nights ago, 10:47 p.m. And the customer name. The customer name was mine, Priya Sharma. 5 stars, 200 completed orders, address listed as my apartment. The thing was ordering food, to itself, using my name. I threw my phone across the room. When I picked it up again, the notification was gone. No record of it in any app, no evidence it had ever existed. But now I check the hallway before I leave my apartment. I check the parking lot before I get in my car. I check the rearview mirror constantly, looking for faces that aren't quite right. Because I know what that notification meant. It knows where I live now. It has my address. And sooner or later, it's going to place an order. Marcus and I have started a group chat with other drivers who've had experiences like ours. There are more of us than you'd think. Dozens, maybe hundreds, all across Phoenix and the surrounding suburbs. We call it the route. That's what we think it is anyway. Some kind of network, some kind of path that runs underneath the normal streets and highways, connecting places that shouldn't be connected, linking the real world to wherever those houses exist. We're all on the route now, permanently, marked. And the route, it uses us, our connections, our customers, our deliveries. Every time we complete a delivery, we're potentially bringing the route closer to someone new, someone who doesn't know what's coming, someone who will accept an order to an address that doesn't exist and never come back. Some of us have stopped delivering entirely, quit the apps, found other jobs, tried to break the connection. It doesn't work. The deliveries find us anyway. The orders appear on our phones even when the apps are deleted. The addresses show up in our GPS even when we're not using them. You can't quit the route. You can only manage it, control it, try to warn people when you can. That's why I'm telling you this story. That's why Marcus told his. Because if you work in the gig economy, if you drive for Uber or deliver for DoorDash or do jobs through TaskRabbit, you need to know. The apps connect us all, drivers and customers, delivery people and recipients, workers and clients, and something is using those connections. Something old, something hungry, something patient. It's building its route, one delivery at a time. And sooner or later, it's going to arrive at your door. Be careful out there. Check the addresses, trust your instincts. And if something feels wrong, cancel the order. No tip is worth your soul.